On this episode of the Maverick Paradox podcast, I'm joined by Jenna Harrison, who built a six-figure business while working less than most people's lunch breaks. We dive into the myth of hustle, the nervous system's secret role in burnout, and why doing less might be the boldest business strategy you haven't tried yet. This conversation will shift how you think about time, productivity, and what success really costs. Welcome to the Maverick Paradox podcast, the show for business owners, organisational leaders, and the pathologically curious. I'm Judith Germain, a Maverick leadership expert exploring what it really takes to lead in a world that doesn't always make sense. If you're ready to think differently, challenge the status quo, navigate complexity, and drive real impact, you're in the right place.
That's part of creating the 3-day work week, is that you need to have very, very, clear understanding of who your people are, exactly what kind of standout, unique, different offer you would provide for them that no one else is offering. And you need to understand how they think, how they don't think, and you can really speak to them.
And today our guest is Jenna Harrison. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to see you. Jenna, do you have a favourite book?
Oh, yeah, I do, actually. It's called The Book of Laughter and Forgetting, Kundera.
Oh my gosh, tell me more. That sounds interesting.
Okay, yeah, it's about the duality between the lightness and darkness in life. And what happens when you take that lightness too far, and what happens when you take the darkness or the seriousness too far. And really, it's about the, futility of trying to find the middle way, and yet that's what we're all doing. I didn't expect this to open so deep and dark, but there you go.
That sounds interesting. Isn't there something about how will you, and I know it's a bit like Keats as well in terms of his poetry, that you'll never be able to really know joy if you don't know like sorrow. How do you know you're happy if you've never been sad?
Oh, I feel that. And it's something I feel so deeply because I've experienced it in life as well.
It's nothing. It's about being happy with whatever you have, because it's that unhappiness that causes the problem, isn't it? So if you've got money, great. If you haven't got money, there's great. You just keep going.
Yes, yes. And I think for really feeling the lightness and darkness, anyone in entrepreneurship can relate to that, right? We really do start to expand our range of feeling and tolerance also in order to continue what we do.
Yeah. That's a bit of a deep start, isn't it, really? Jenna, tell us a bit more about you.
Okay, well, I'm actually here to bring some lightness to your
Yay.
audience. So the reason I am talking with you today is because I work a 24-hour work week, and that has been hard won. I'm a business coach, a podcast coach or podcast host, and the founder of The Uncommon Way, which is a place where we help women entrepreneurs specifically work smarter, not harder.
Okay, you definitely had me on 24-hour week. And I'm curious in the sense that, to be fair, it's something that lots of people talk about. Lots of gurus tell us you can work for 2 days a week or so many hours. And yet when you look into it, it's not even, it's like, yes, you could do 2 days a week because I've got 15 people doing everything else. And the average entrepreneur isn't in that situation where they've got a huge employee base of people doing the task. So tell me, what exactly do you mean in terms of 24-hour work week? And is it really possible for like a solopreneur to do that?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that because that is one of the main questions that comes up right away. And I was actually doing it when I first started my business and when I had zero team. And the reason we know it's possible is because there are people that start businesses when they're working full-time in corporate. For my own story, I had just had a newborn. And so I was raising the newborn with no daycare. And I was working nap times and evenings and then a bit on weekends. And so I was also able to launch my business, and I got to 6 figures in that scenario. And it really was not something that I set out to do ever. I'm not the kind of person that said, "Oh, I wish that I could have this, little hobby business at home and really be with my children full time." That's not me at all.
Mm.
What happened was that I really fought against it throughout the years. I would spring back and forth between seeing the evidence that it was possible, but then feeling my old patterns drag me back into overwork, because what I really cared about was outperforming anyone and everyone around me and really stretching myself and seeing what was possible. And so I wanted to work more. I loved work, but I had a newborn.
I think a lot of women can relate to working when you're doing the night feeds and things like that.
Yes.
Tell me how does somebody get to a six-figure business working 24-hour week? What's the actual tangibles? What were you doing?
So at that time, I was coaching, but also there was a large done for you component to my business. So I was helping people with their messaging and their copy. And I was actually writing a lot of it. So I had a very small client base, but I was charging premium prices.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Yes.
Mm. Because obviously the coaching, especially when people start out, they do often start out trading time for money, which isn't going to be sustainable on the long term.
Yes, yes. But I find that a lot of us trade time for money without even realizing it. So the things that we prioritize when something's less expensive takes longer, for instance. And so we're always prioritizing time and other things. Or I'm sorry, we're always prioritizing money and other things above our time.
Mm. Okay. So someone is sitting out there, been running their business for, I don't know, say 5 years. So they kind of got their messaging right. Um, they are doing, say, packages rather than a hourly rate. How do they move to 24 hours work?
Yeah. There's one principal question you need to ask yourself, which is, how could I do this in 24 hours? And it's a very frustrating because it seems impossible. It seems like a question that can't be answered. And yet, when you force yourself to do it piece by piece, that's how your brain stretches itself and comes up with these new answers. And what I love about this is that kind of thinking is always what's needed to get you to your next level of growth. You just accelerate the process. So it's always either a mindset shift or a tactical piece, a systems piece. There's always something that needs to click into place in order to allow you to make more with less.
So posing the question to your activity, saying, how can you do, presumably when you say, how can I do this in 24 hours, you're meaning, how do you run your business?
Any piece of your business. So, for instance, when I was first starting out and I was actively engaged in social media, which I'm not anymore, but I used to say, how in the world can I get all of the social media done with the limited time that I have? And it seemed impossible. How could you possibly engage with people? How could you possibly create quality posts? And then it turns out that by thinking about it, I found a way to repurpose content and to really only spend one day a month creating my social media. And then I created a system, a spreadsheet. It was super geeky in order to repurpose things. Now, that's just one example. I'm not, and here's another one, which would be the mindset shift later, where I started saying, do I have to be on social media? And realized I absolutely do not need to be on social media. And in fact, when I went off social media, my business doubled.
How did that work?
It worked because I looked at other avenues that ended up being far more uh, revenue profitable for me. So my clients, it turns out, were not looking for business coaches on social media. They would go to Google. And so now I run my business through SEO primarily and my podcast.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's
Not,
thinking that wouldn't have come to me naturally if I hadn't been trying to find these solutions. And I believe it's true even for any of your listeners in corporate as well. It is the pursuit of these answers that really drives the creativity. I always say constraint drives creativity.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
So, taking an SEO approach, how does that fit with AI in the sense that you can get a lot of answers without actually having to go to a website for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know that I don't have anyone telling me yet that they have used AI to find a business coach. I can absolutely see it happening in the future, but I assume that one of the things that, the AI tools will look at is Google. So I would say at least I'm pretty well placed when it comes to those results, but I'm so curious now. I have to go try it.
Yeah, I'm just sort of like wondering really, because when you go to search for something,
Mhm.
um, so like, which I am doing right now live,
Okay.
just to see for myself.
Okay.
But if you like put in um business coach, just wondering what comes up per se. Not specifically looking
Yeah.
for you, but what it's sending me to is a load of adverts. So do you use
Uh,
advertising? Because it's
I
like
do not. I do
the
not. It's
whole
completely
page,
organic.
most of the page is adverts. And then
Mm,
there's just a whole list of different business coaches. But I'm just
mhm.
thinking it's like, what is the problem that you solve as a business coach?
So I help people work smarter rather than harder. So people that are feeling overwhelmed, people that feel like they're spinning their wheels, can't quite get to the next level, can't foresee growing without having to double their efforts, they come to me.
Okay. So this is what I was thinking in terms of AI. So I've just typed in, I didn't know it was going to go this way, but I'm curious what you said. How to work
Okay.
smarter, not harder. And then I've got like the very first thing is an AI. You know, they do those AI captiony things. Um,
Mm,
and it just says from sources across the web, and then there's a table with various different things, and then you drop down the table and it gives you more information.
yeah.
But you could, I suppose, if you was researching, just go, oh, what? There's three, six, nine things here, and I'll just type that into my blog or whatever. I'm just wondering with the whole, how easy is it to be found when
Sure.
people?
I th-
I was reading something where they're saying a lot of people seem to be searching within AI, whether that's Claude or chat or whatever, for their
mm,
answers, and then wanting the AI to go find. So rather than going to Google, they're
mm-hmm.
saying they're putting in ChatGPT like, "What's the best business coach in London?" or something like that, and then
Right.
will come up with. And I'm not sure whether they're still following the same algorithms as say Google was. I'm just trying, as a business owner, I'm just trying to stay ahead. So I'm just using this opportunity to like find out from you.
Yes. Well, I can definitely see people starting to do that. They could get a lot more specificity with AI, right? They could say, I'm looking for a business coach that specifically helps women, which is what a lot of my clients are looking for, and will help me work less, but grow my business. And, right, you could probably get really specific with AI. I'm curious to do it too now when we're off air, But I think the other question is that you kind of alluded to is you could ask AI, how do I work smarter, not harder? And that is something where I think, the same question you might look for information through a podcast, or you might look for
Yeah.
information through a book. But typically, the reason people hire coaches is because they've tried doing things on their own and finding information from here and there, and they want more,
You have a
more
very nice
support.
website, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Quite, it's very clear and on point.
That is what
Mm.
we're looking for. That's part of creating the 3-day work week, is that you need to have very, very, clear understanding of who your people are, exactly what kind of standout, unique, different offer you would provide for them that no one else is offering. And you need to understand how they think, how they don't think, and you can really speak to them.
hmm Okay, so obviously clarity on what you do, prioritizing SEO over social media.
Well, and not all of my clients use SEO. So I just want to make sure that's
All right.
understood that there are so many ways of creating this type of work week for yourself. I do have clients that actually are on social media. I have other clients that only do in-person networking. It's really about asking what else might be possible if I didn't have my current frame of thinking. It's like we are all in, we're all think we're in an ocean of possibility, but really we're in a fishbowl inside the ocean. And that fishbowl is our thoughts, and it keeps us repeating old patterns and doing things the way we've always known to do them, like working a 40-hour work week or a 60-hour work week.
Well, that's why I think it's quite interesting that entrepreneurs are very different from employees.
Mm.
And I think those that have worked for themselves for quite some time and then go back into employment can struggle because organizations take a lot longer to do stuff, like unnecessarily longer to do stuff. Whereas you don't, when you're I don't know, an entrepreneur and you're working for a client, you go in, you help them deliver that thing, and then you move on and do something else. Whereas when you're an employee, that thing could take months, when in fact it may only need to take 2 weeks or 3 weeks of focused effort.
Yes, you can be so nimble as an entrepreneur. And I think leaning into that possibility, whether you're actually an entrepreneur or you have an entrepreneur mindset as an employee, it's like, what else could be possible? How could this be true?
Yeah. So I'm just imagining someone listening going, yeah, it still feels like a pipe dream because what you're saying is um, think about what can be done in 20, like change that sort of beginning strategy, have some strategic thought. But I'm thinking, then what? It sounds doesn't sound substantial enough to make the change. So I'm thinking maybe there's something missing that we've not explored.
Mm, possibly. I mean, typically the questions I get, the first one is this possible at any stage of business? Either they think their business is too small or too large to be able to do this. And then the second question is it possible for me? Right? So that's when our brain starts objecting and saying, oh, but look at my situation, or look at this industry, or look at what I have going on. And then the third one, if they finally can counter those objections and start to believe that it's possible, is what the hell do I do with all my free time? Do I even want that? Wouldn't I like to work more and create more revenue, for instance? And what we find is that the time off from our business is actually very symbiotic with the time in our business. And so while we might think we're trading money by taking time off, the opposite is true. By taking time off, we actually are thinking more creatively and grow our business more than expected.
Yeah, I know that I come up with lots of great ideas when I'm relaxing in the bath. It's actually probably one of the most sort of productive times, and I'm just sort of lying there and going, "Oh, my brain," because it's just left to wander, and then I come up with other stuff.
Yes, yes, exactly. Okay, I love this analogy. I talk about a shower. Why is it that in the shower we get such great ideas? It's not really because of the shower, right? It's because of our how relaxed our nervous system is, how much access we have to those problem solving and higher thinking faculties in our brain, and the fact that we're thinking, probably, at least this is what I'm thinking in the shower, I have this time to myself. I have nothing else I need to be doing right now. No one's going to come and ask me a question. I can just relax.
Mm.
That type of thinking combined with that body sensation, that relaxed nervous system that allows our, higher thinking creates magic. And the more of that we can create in our life, the better for our business.
Also, I guess it's become anchored for me now. So my subconscious is expecting to come up with ideas once, you've done all the washing and everything else, and it's just nice and warm and just lying there. The subconscious is going, oh, this is the time now. Or,
Yes.
so whereas before I used to like, I don't know, listen to a program on Netflix or something or this podcast.
Mm.
Now I don't bring in those prompts because I know that I'll come up with something.
Yes, I love that story, Judith. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so one of the things you talk about is that by working less, you can uncover your nervous system programming,
Mm.
which
Yes.
which explains why you're overworking. So you're saying it's a way to prevent burnout. But what do you mean, this nervous system programming? Is it something that people need to consciously do, or will it just happen by just doing less?
Well, it's actually something that we want to unwind. So, what happens in our modern society is that we get activated without even realizing it, and we stay activated. Now, back when we were hunter gatherers, once in a while there would be a snake or something, and it would activate our nervous system, and we'd run away, we'd move our body, and then we'd calm down and we'd return to baseline. But now the way our brain is wired hasn't caught up with the society we live in. And so there are lots of things that activate us. There are email notifications, and there are, we're very anxious about the future. And so we stay at a higher activation, and that becomes our new baseline. So, what happens when we try and relax? Have you ever Let me ask you this. Have you ever been on vacation and felt like you still just wanted to do stuff? And it actually took you a few days before you could finally settle into that vacation mode. Has that ever happened to you? I don't know,
Yeah,
it
it's not
happens to
something that
me.
happens now, but it's certainly because I think if you spent a long time in corporate, especially at a senior level, not working can feel like laziness. And I know that, sometimes when you have a deliberate shutdown, you can feel a little bit guilty.
Yeah, guilt is a
It's not
huge part
perfect.
of it. Guilt's a
I mean,
huge part of it. And also just the discomfort. Like I would often tell myself, you know what? Okay, maybe I should relax right now, but I'd feel so much better if I just got this thing done. Then I could relax even better if I just got these three things done. Right. But then you look up and oops, you're however late again to close your laptop for the night. And it's a pattern you get into because it feels strange to your body to be relaxing. And so you're motivated to get back into that activated state, which feels normal and comfortable to you. So there's actually a detox process that goes on when you're first beginning this work of actually getting to a normal baseline regulated state. And that feels uncomfortable, which is why, like I did, even when I had the proof that, hey, when I'm working less, my business is actually growing, I still would go back into patterns of overwork for another few months. And then I'd snap out of it. And I'd be like, oh, I need to remember to take time off, to take the full weekend off and not work. And then things would be going really well. But then, oh, I'd get dragged back into it. Now I understand why, but I didn't then. And I think a lot of people don't realize, they think maybe it's just my mindset or maybe it's just this circumstance, but they're not going to that third level, which is maybe it's biological.
yeah, I tend to think about this is probably uncommon. Tend to think about what needs to be done in the week, as in the
Mm,
7 days, because there are
mm,
times in the weekend that is useful for me to work, but the work that I do is a hard work. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's if I know for a fact that the family is going to be sleep until 10 on a Saturday morning, I have no problem doing 2 3 hours because it means the rest of the day I don't have to do anything else and I can. I mean,
mm,
it's just I guess for me, I just think about the time that I would be spending doing non-productive work.
mm,
Does it make sense to do that? So, am I doing non-productive stuff like I don't know, watching Netflix because I need to
mm,
relax? Then for that it's got
mm,
purpose. Or is it just because I'm bored and I'm not doing anything else? So I just want to waste some time. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So I might as well spend that time doing something productive. But that might
mm,
mean on a Wednesday I can nap in the afternoon because I'm busy. I think like for me, I've got, clients around the globe. So
Hmm.
if I have to work later for their time zones, then I make sure that I'm not up early that day doing other stuff. So
Yeah,
it's balanced. I don't just go, oh, I need to extend my work day to fit in the Americans. My work day
right,
will start later so that I'm
right.
still working a reasonable period of time as opposed to just going, oh, this is going to be a 16-hour day.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm such a proponent of people finding the schedule that works for them. I have a, 3-day work week is just it's a metaphor, really, for you designing the business that supports you rather than the other way around. And so I also, because I live in Spain and my clients are mostly in the US, I have a period of time when I meet with them before my son gets home from school. And so I do work 4 days a week. They're just short days.
So that's a question, actually. So if
Mm.
your clients are in a different country primarily, do you find that makes it easier to charge higher rates because they're expecting or they're understanding there's different currency exchanges, different way of working? Is it easier to charge more if you're not in the same country?
I have not found that to be true, but I should test it. Maybe I should start charging more and explaining it that way, seeing what happens. But no, I have maintained my prices when I moved, and I have not had anyone say that. I have had people in other countries say that because I'm charging dollars, for instance, they would like to pay, it costs more for them, but really my rates are my rates. And, a lot of people love that and others go, in another direction. But
Mhm.
I thought you were going to ask, does it make it easier for me to work less? And I think the answer there is yes,
Mm,
absolutely. Because there is a time when they're still asleep and I'm awake. And so that
yes.
is really nice to not have my phone pinging. And then, of course, I've really turned off my phone at 5 p.m. my time when a lot of them are awake and I don't see it till the next morning. So I would say that
Oh,
helps.
okay. Because they
Mm,
understand that it's your time because you're in a different country.
right. They understand my son is home then and I don't work in the evenings, but we can have strong boundaries whenever we want, right? It's just easier to do it when you're in a different time zone.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose it provides some sort of self-reliance on them because they know that they can't just phone. So
Another reason. Yes. See, there are just so many rippling benefits of this work, but it absolutely makes clients very self reliant and it helps you. That's one of the questions you have to think through. If I were going to have this type of business, I would need clients who are very self reliant. And then you start messaging and marketing to the clients who are very self reliant. And you look at yourself to see if I've been bringing on clients that are not self reliant, why is that? Do I maybe feel more useful and more needed if they really, really, really need me and think that I'm amazing? Or do I just want to work with people who are, you know, really happy with what I'm bringing to them, but they're also perfectly capable of finding solutions from whatever means is necessary?
brilliant. Jenna, before we end, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I would just like for anyone out there thinking this doesn't apply to me to just kind of spend the next week pretending maybe it was and just see what new ideas come up for you.
Mm, that is a good practice, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jenna, for coming on the show.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, and thank you out there for tuning in to the Maverick Paradox podcast. I am Juice Germain, your host, and I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. You can't lead what you don't influence. The Influence Blueprint reveals how your leadership is really landing and what's silently undermining your impact. Whether you're a leader ready to level up or an HR director tired of investing in development that doesn't stick, this is where influence gets real. Find out more at maverickparadox.co.uk/influence dash blueprint.